As a signatory for Resolution 1.3 and a strong advocate for peace in the Middle East, Senegal would like to point out that Resolution 1.3 also has implications for refugees and it has in the resolution allowing the refugees to return to their areas, and also the internationalization of Israel would be a third party that would allow for peaceful transport of both entities to go for jobs and also to visit holy sites, so that they can work together peacefully, and outsourcing the governments of these two areas, just in Jerusalem, making sure that they can maintain peace and cooperate in the transport, and making sure that both countries...
Thank you, Madam Chair. Even though the delegation of South Africa shows their support for Resolution 1.3 proposed by the African Bloc, I would also like to ardently extend my support for Resolution 1.5 proposed by the Latin American and Caribbean Bloc. The resolution strongly stresses that a reconciliation be made between communities and hopes to achieve this through the enactment of a committee that would support the further growth and development of Palestine in hopes of allowing them to have a voice in the global community. Thank you.
Saudi Arabia, you're recognized to speak.
Delegates. The delegation from Saudi Arabia encourages you to read Resolution 1.6. The issue of peace in the Middle East and the Palestinian-Israeli conflict is very vast. And so many of the countries that are here today have decided to split it up into many different groups that will solve one issue at a time. Refugees, water, borders, Jerusalem, etc., etc. Resolution 1.6 concerns the issue of borders. I think that is one of the most fundamental and important issues that we must tackle first before we move on to other issues. I suggest that rather than just shooting down all the resolutions that are offering solutions, we should go one at a time and bring each to the floor, discuss it, vote upon it, and then so we can move on and move forward. And I encourage that we start that with Resolution 1.6, which talks about borders, which is one of the first steps that we need in solving this conflict. Or you have my time?
Jordan.
Motion to have an informal debate on Resolution 1.4.
First, we would have to bring Resolution 1.4 to the table. Would you like to do so?
Yes.
There's a motion to bring Resolution 1.4 to the table for discussion. Is there a second to that motion? Seconded by Earl. This is a debatable motion. It does require one speaker in favor, one speaker against. Saudi Arabia in favor?
Yes.
Against? Saudi Arabia.
Committee with representatives from Israel and representatives from Palestine. Clearly, they're going to conflict on where the borders want to be drawn. And then you have these other 9 members. How will this committee enforce their decision of the borders if one of the governments of either Palestine or Israel disagree with what the committee determines?
Well, if one of those, since Palestine and Israel are both going to be one of the major players in the committee, if one of them disagrees with the solution, then it's not going to get out of the committee. You know what I'm saying? If Palestine opposes what Israel says, and if they don't agree upon it, then it's not going to get out of the committee. So it's not like Israel or Palestine, one of them is going to agree on something, get all the 9 members to sign it, and the other countries still going to be there and be able to oppose it. It's not going to get out of the committee, and it won't be enforced. So the solution being in a committee, it will be one that appeals to both sides of the conflict.
The establishment of this committee is simply to bring the two parties together, which is not occurring at this time. By bringing the committee, we can at least promise the possibility of a solution to be hammered out by both of these different parties. At the current time, there is no discussions at the moment to address any of these issues.
Thank you, delegates. Are there any points or motions on the floor? Lock your raise your hand up or down. Thank you. This motion does not pass. Are there any points or motions on the floor?
Like I said before, the budget is an issue because if we have one committee that's establishing just borders, then you're going to have to pay them. If we have one committee that helps all the issues, like Resolution 1.3, then you'll be able to save. So I
Well, the reason why we focused on borders is because it's probably one of the most important issues in this whole conflict. And in order to be effective, this problem needs to be addressed through multiple solutions. And this is just one part of the solution. So we in no way discourage the delegates here from voting for other papers here. But we'd just like to remind everyone here that in order to be effective, specialization is very important.
Exactly, just like my previous delegate stated, Resolution 1.3 does have many valid points, but at least in the opinion of Uzbekistan, to establish a committee that would decide all the different aspects of this problem and address it in a holistic manner would be practically impossible. It would be a lot simpler, like restated, to create separate subcommittees in order to address the issue, and then combine the results of these different subcommittees.
Also, the creation of this committee just to address this specific issue is the base. It's setting a base for all the other issues to be discussed. For example, Jerusalem, the capital, or the discussion about which country or which state should have Jerusalem as a capital, or whether it's both or no one should. This resolution creating the border has the base for any other resolution to be passed in conjunction with.
Mongolia.
Mongolia?
On borders, would the Palestinians living in the new Israeli territory be forced to leave, or vice versa, or would they be grandfathered down and allowed to stay within the borders?
This will also be addressed in the committee between the UN officials and also the representatives from each government. The details are up to each country's national sovereignty, as of course the UN right now cannot specifically denotate every single detail of whether citizens of one country are allowed to stay or not, but we believe that in this international committee, many of these issues will be addressed directly.
Please raise your placards. Keep them up. Decide right now if you want to bring them up or not. Germany, are you up or down?
I'm down.
This motion does not pass.
I'd like to know where the sponsors of this paper plan on getting the funds to create this unnecessary committee.
The funds to create well, first of all, it's not exactly a committee that would need so many funds, as in it would be from the UN funds. Also, it's a committee of government officials it's more of a peacekeeping committee that would redraw lines and borders for the benefit of all the countries who apply.
Point out that the topic is peace in the Middle East, and yet Resolution 1.6 fails to include conflicts that are in the Middle East, such as the Ethiopian Eritrean conflict. Why is there no solution for other topics, other conflicts in the Middle East?
Well, like we stated earlier, the topic of peace in the Middle East is a huge topic. If it wasn't, there wouldn't be so much war and bloodshed going on now. And so what we did at the start of this assembly was we split it up into many subcommittees. That's why we have so many resolutions here. Most of them concern different things. They're not all repeats of each other. So 1.6 focuses on borders. There's other resolutions out there that focus on refugees, focus on Jerusalem, focus on resettlements, etc. So we can get all those passed or get different topics passed at a time, but we got to take it one step at a time. It's unwise to have one resolution that incorporates so many different topics.
Oman would like to point out that while the topic is peace in the Middle East, that there is a central focus on peace in Israel and Palestine.
This motion does pass. Resolution 1.6